Наконец-таки, блядь.
Вот, заснял!
Да.
О, мне передай.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is March 8th, 2025. It is Saturday, and I decided to spoil your weekend a little bit. I'll try to do it actually today, the shorter video, but what I want to do from the start, and I understand it's controversial because it was actually invented by Rosa Luxemburg and Clara Zetkin, one of the most important women's and feminist leaders of the communist movement. But I want to congratulate all women who watch my videos with the International Women's Day. It was established by the United Nations, and there is nothing wrong with this holiday when you look attentively at how it basically evolved. And in Russia, it has no communist meaning whatsoever. It is literally the holiday or the of spring, and men, they just give, present women with chocolates, flowers, tulips, preferably, all kinds of the pleasantries, even washing dishes sometimes, for some men. And so it's a wonderful holiday which lost even the communist meaning during the Soviet times, for example, in Russia. And Russians celebrate it as such, despite the fact that there are some people in Russian Orthodox Church who condemn it. But what can I say? What's too late now, because it became completely secular, and it became completely secular in a non-communist sense. It is just merely the celebration of the femininity, women, mothers, sisters, not grandfathers, grandmothers. But, and what can I say? My best wishes to my, female contingent who watch me. So, and this is a wonderful spring celebration. I will be celebrating, sort of, anyhow. Let's start with more serious affairs, and there is a lot of discussion about something which, you see in the beginning, as you saw yourself. This is the video of those Su-25s which fly and do their job in all kinds of the sectors or operational directions during or at the line of the combat contact. And there is another thing which is, for example, this mystery. I said we have to play the Twilight Zone theme when this is happening, because in accordance to Western media, this is a sunk Black Sea Fleet, sunk being, of course, I'm being facetious and in quotation marks, but somehow this sunk fleet continues to strike at Ukrainian targets. So, and we have now the situation with the, which now Russians confirm, that most specialists from the United States who were specialists, and that the guys who were servicing essentially ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, which was provided in the real time to Ukraine, they are being removed from Ukraine. In fact, is probably by now most of them are gone. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of this. I made the video last time. I will repeat it again. Far more important than, for example, supplying of weapons to Ukraine, because, as I already stated, Russians were fighting this fight with one of their hand being tied behind their backs, because in real war, God forbids, of course, Russian armed forces would simply wipe out the most of the intelligence and recon capabilities from the orbits and in the air by NATO. Well, by NATO we mean the United States. French and British capabilities in this matter is pathetic, to put it mildly. For example, France has 22 times fewer satellites on the orbit which can serve any kind of the recon purpose. So basically, United States, on the orders of Trump, withdrawing its specialists and its support in this field, makes the life of armed forces of Ukraine horrendous. And it's already being felt dramatically. over the front, and of course over the Russian strikes at all kinds of the infrastructure in Ukraine, because suddenly the so-called air defense of Ukraine, whatever is left of it, as Russians themselves stated, it is rather pathetic, and when they don't have early warning, then there you go. We suddenly have the situation that, yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of weapons you get to them without real C4 and especially ISR, you cannot combat control your forces. This was one of the reasons, for example, why, although with the horrendous expenditure in life, well, basically cannon fodder, Ukrainians have been able periodically, not all the time, to, well, plug in some holes in their broken defense by throwing into those gaps all kinds of people who just meet storms. That's how Russians call it. And now, if anybody has any doubts, just before I go and discuss some things about Trump's statements, if you look attentively at Kursk area, there are now confirmed not only sightings already, killed and taken prisoners, or if you think so, they're just 18-year-old kids which are there now. There are 14-year-old kids who are fighting now. Well, there you go. Hitler Jugend, or Hitler Youth, or in this case, Zelensky Youth and London Youth, because obviously Kursk adventure, it's a catastrophe of unimaginable scale. And now let's take a look about, what situation in Kursk is, because it is dire. Now, when you have even these guys, which is the Telegraph, which says that, well, there are about, as you can see yourself, 10,000, well, it's a division essentially, of Ukrainian troops at risk of encirclement. You see this? They give you the map. Well, it's not at risk. They are already surrounded and they are not coming out. So they will be all killed if they will not surrender, as you can see yourself. Now, if you go to the cauldron, you can see yourself with the latest map. Here it is. These are general movements, so to speak. And Russians are already operating in the Sumy Oblast. I don't know if Russians will go and get the Sumy itself, possible, but fact is, they are grouping in there, or rather whatever is left of it. There are some different, numbers. Some say it's 6,500, some say 10,000, but it doesn't matter. It's the size of, let's say, in Ukrainian terms, it's 3 brigades which are surrounded there and basically pummeled into utter submission. And you know what? It's really bad there. And if you take a look at what is happening now in terms of the losses there, here it is. This is the latest for today, actually yesterday. 65.4 thousand fighters of the armed forces of Ukraine have already died in the battles in the Kursk border area. It is a slaughter there, and obviously Zelensky regime and his curators from London, because that's who they are actually, they are genocidal maniacs. They will not give the Mr. Syrsky order for Syrsky to issue order to those people to, run, because that's the only thing they can do. They cannot really evacuate anymore. All lines of communications, all roads are under either direct tactical control, or tactically surrounded, or cut, interdicted by Russians in personnel and in the fire. So they have the fire control of all ways to not supply. There are no supplies anymore there, but to run away, so the only thing they have is now their feet, and they will try to break through somehow, just by running. Well, we'll see where it all goes, but yeah, it's catastrophe there. And so because of that, we have suddenly this situation with, there is a little bit, well, it's now everyday losses at about 1,500 a day, but as you can see yourself, there is another milestone, grim milestone, which have been reached. It's more than officially 1,100,000 killed, but in reality, of course, it's much higher number of the armed forces of Ukraine killed. And so here we have this situation when Mr. Trump cannot stay silent anymore. But before I go, here is Mr. Che Bose, it's famous Irish journalist, who says that as Ukrainian troops die in mass in Kursk and the rest face a devastating defeat, remember what the fraud in Kiev said in January. Despite the fact defeat was inevitable, he called this tragedy his greatest victory. Yes, this is how it's done. This is how, for example, very many people in London think that, Dunkirk kind of was great, escape. Churchill thought about it, but he never asked the question why actually they haven't been completely surrounded. They were surrounded, but not eliminated by Germans. That's the whole other story. But the point is, yes, this is what we have. By the time it will be all over, the number of the killed in Kursk probably will reach 75,000. A gigantic, basically, combined arms army have been completely eliminated by Russians. So Mr. Trump yesterday comes with this statement, which we need to discuss about the sanctions is one thing, but so he now admits that based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it's too late. Thank you. Well, it's typical Trump. He talks about things which evidently we can assume now that he was really informed about the real situation on the front and the real ratios, which are devastating, especially in Kursk area. I don't know what kind of kill ratio will be in Kursk area, probably 1 to 20 or something like that, probably even more than that. And so Mr. Trump thinks that he can say things and something happens. No, he talks about that, the sanctions and all that. So yeah, sure, Russians say, you know what, yeah, just go right ahead. Russians essentially just, don't react in any, special way. In fact, this is pretty silent. It's just Russians understand that two thoughts on, so to speak, two schools of thought exist on this Trump's statement. One of them, and I want to concentrate on this one, and this is, I think, good chance, the good level of probability that it is the case, is the fact that Trump may be doing this white noise in order for him to essentially reshuffle and reform, if you wish, or reshape his relations with NATO and with those interest groups of the genocidal maniacs which exist abundantly in Washington, D.C., all kinds of people who would like to kill Russians, nothing more. And for that, they constantly press Trump for being aggressive and continue this conflict. Not understanding, of course, those people are fanatics. Many of them are related and tied to the Democratic National Committee, but there are many neocons who want to do this too, to kill Russians. They do not understand that, as I am on the record for the last few weeks, it's over. It's just a matter of how you arrange things. And Trump maybe, and this is this key, so to speak, distinction, that he creates this, how to say it, semantic environment, if you wish, or the white noise, which serves as a cover for the United States to disengage completely. Because, well, not only United States, as represented by Trump administration and Trump himself, they really want peace. They want peace, however, on American conditions, like freeze the conflict and things like that. Russians already, including Vladimir Putin himself, they stated so many times, including from the last few days, that no, there will be no freezing. And all these reports, which, for example, such as the propaganda outlet as Bloomberg spread, Russians are not ready for freezing. The question is that, yeah, we can meet, sure, But what's the point of meeting, for example, Zelensky? And Trump creates the situation, so to speak, the smoke screen behind which he can completely withdraw from this, well, essentially catastrophe for the combined West, of which I warned more than 10 years ago when I stated that by getting involved by means of such people like Victoria Nuland and other neocon clans, if you wish, and trying to turn Ukraine into some kind of ram against Russia, United States lost. So we now can see yourself, this loss being omnipresent essentially in every action in the world which we're talking about. And again, do not forget, Russians defeated not just Ukraine. It's a small fish. Russia has defeated the NATO. That's the whole thing. And Trump understands this. Plus, he has now, his administration has a clear-cut enemy, and this is Europe. Europe is the enemy of the United States. The way Europe exists today, it is what it is. And it's a globalist project, and evidently those cretins in Europe still think that they matter. They don't. But for Trump, he cannot do this easily, just go out and immediately stop everything. Always kind of relate or compare basically what is being said and what is being done. And the fact that we know now that ISR by the United States have been withdrawn from the basically front lines there, it's huge. Realistically, it is huge. Russians don't care about weapons being delivered. Well, they care, but not to such a degree, because without the recon and without proper combat control, those weapons will be detected and annihilated. They are nothing more than fat, good targets. But ISR and situational awareness of the armed forces of Ukraine and their curators, that is a completely different story. And now suddenly we have what? We have France, which has 22 times fewer satellites in the orbit, and United Kingdom, which is really not a player in this field. I don't think so they can provide really a realistic situation awareness for the SOB in Kiev. And that pretty much spells the doom, which already have been spelled. But now things will go much faster, including the, demolition of the remnants of the critical infrastructure of Ukraine, which is supposed to produce some kind of the weapons or resistance material, if you wish, trying to preserve the neo-Nazi regime in Kiev. Now, there is another thing, another facet of that. Obviously, Mr. Trump makes these statements that, rather, how to say it, interesting. And this is, Trump wants to withdraw, as Telegraph reports. He is considering pulling troops out of Germany. It is understood that the president is considering redeploying personnel to Hungary, which has maintained close relations with Russia. This is obviously very difficult to comprehend in the sense why would he do this, but if he moves them closer to Hungary, I think so there could be several possible tracks, how to interpret it. Obviously, it's not a good idea from the point of view of placing any kind of the long-range fires there by the American troops, because Russia will, will just go then to the Hungarian border. But who knows? Again, don't forget, this is a Telegraph. This is UK. They lie constantly. But yes, evidently Trump is considering moving or removing troops from Hungary. He wants to evidently move troops, as reported by Western media, which is propaganda primarily, also to Poland. I mean, whatever the contingent he has in Germany. Who knows? We'll wait and see. There is so much happening that it's very difficult to really comment on this constantly. You have to literally sit in front of the camera and do it like 24/7 non-stop. Obviously, I am not capable of doing this, so that is my, so to speak, weekend update, if you wish, and it has nothing to do with Saturday Night Live. It's definitely a weekend update for what is unfolding with incredible speed. And so now, these chihuahuas in Europe, they come out and say this. Russians laughed, of course, but hey, EU approves massive defense spending hike. They say that, you know what, yeah, we have to, they rearm Europe plan. The bloc will spend around 840 billion on building up its military capabilities. Under the plan, which is called Rearm Europe, the bloc defense spending will be boosted by up to 800 euros, double the total EU defense expenditures in 2024. The initiative was unveiled earlier this week by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Well, it's good for gynecologists to understand that you need money, but here comes this most important thing. Money cannot buy you real defense. So, and the 27 EU leaders agreed to ease budget restrictions to allow member states to boost military outlays. They also called on European Commission to explore new mechanisms to facilitate significant defense spending at the national level across all member states. And the EU executive arm estimates that the measure could unlock around 650 billion euros, but it remains unclear if government would fully utilize this financial leeway. And I have a news for Europeans. You don't have proper weapons and proper weapon programs, and anybody who thinks that you can give money to Rheinmetall and it will produce some super pooper tank, even if they do produce super pooper tank, it means absolutely nothing in the framework of the modern 21st century war. And is doesn't matter what Europe does, they are lagging behind United States in practically every single most important category of the arms production, while United States lags behind Russia. NATO in general lags behind Russia in critical weapon systems, including weapon systems which none of them have. And we are talking about the advanced generations of the new hypersonic weapons and other things which can turn Europe without any nuclear weapons pretty much into some really parking lot. I mean, this is the issue. They think that money can buy you engineers, can buy you real R&D. None of them have this capability. And again, do not forget, last time, maybe somebody will tell me, but I don't remember when there was the last time when, for example, French launched their missiles from the nuclear powered submarine just to test them. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody please correct me in the comments below. But this is what we have. And when you look at that, if they think that they can create as they say, the 6th generation fighter, guys, how about you produce 5th generation fighter to start with and prove it in the combat? Europe doesn't have those capabilities. They still can produce some here and there, but primarily, if you look attentively, as I already stated many times, if you look, for example, in the navies, all those German, all those Spanish and other navies, well, you will encounter immediately pretty much all kinds of things made in the United States. From Spy 1D, active, phase array, radar, to Aegis combat information control systems, to all those sonars and things of this nature. It's pretty much American monopoly in many respects. So in France, they do have their own things, but even they basically depend on the American aircraft, such as, Skyhawks, Hawkeyes, pardon me, Hawkeyes or, AWACS planes. France, they try to still using American-made, Boeing 707 based, and now I believe it's 767, which will be based upon new type of the AWACS. But again, correct me, I do not have my precise data just handy with me. So yeah, good luck developing all that. And as much as we, can admit the fact that United States lost the arms race to Russia, Europe is nowhere near in its productive capacity for the military-industrial complex, and even when you look attentively, especially on the first line critical defense items, such as, granted, enormously expensive, but United States still produces, manufactures or builds very good nuclear-powered submarines, Virginia class, for example. So they are very superior pretty much to the most of what in terms of the global projection Europe can produce. No, Europe is and will remain very regional in its aspirations, and in this case, I mean, they can unlock whatever the money, which they don't have, by the way, they want. There will be no serious development, even with throughout the years. They will not be able to catch up. Simple as that. And as I already stated yesterday, not yesterday, the last video, there you can see yourself. They admit that even hypersonic weapons, 20 years, that's what they need, if even. And so here we are, and considering the deindustrialization, which continues apace in Europe, I don't think so the real rearmament is possible. I mean, they might build things here and there, but there will be no unified European combat system, and that's simple as that. And in the end, we also, I want to finish this on, it wouldn't be me if I wouldn't trash media. And believe me, I already used, I abused essentially the quotation from Hunter Thompson about the profession of the journalist. But let me tell you, here's RT, no less. And it's funny, I understand it could be a simple mistake, but this is indicative of what you are dealing with in general, especially in the West, but Russia has the problem too. Look at this. RT reports. North Korea reveals nuclear-powered submarine. Photos. Pyongyang has released images of the vessel as Kim Jong-un toured major shipyards. North Korea has unveiled its first nuclear-powered submarine, releasing images of the country's leader, and blah, 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 blah. In a report on Saturday, state media described the vessel as a nuclear-powered strategic guided missile submarine. You know what? As you might expect, the comments to this photo and to this article are hilarious. People have a field day. If that is a submarine, then I am Chinese. Obviously, as people say, that this submarine will not dive that well, and it probably will dive only once. But here we are, here's the photo of the North Korean nuclear power submarine, which of course is the surface combatant, something very similar in outlook to Russian class, Admiral Grigorovich class, Project 11356 by architecture, but I don't know, so you judge for yourself. This is your media, guys. This is how they report things. And this is what I wanted to tell you today. And in conclusion, I want to express my profound gratitude to my wonderful patrons, because, guys, this is because of you, because of your support that I continue to do what I am doing. And as always, in the end, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee too. And again, all women, I mean, wonderful, congratulations and best wishes on this wonderful spring holiday. And guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.